This video is about making peace with North Korea. I'm going to tell you my story. Many years ago, this was when Trump was running for election. He might not have been the nominee yet. I don't remember. I sent a letter to Trump, and I sent the same letter to other people, telling him, please make peace with North Korea. And I sent more than one letter. I sent it to various congressmen, maybe to the South Korean embassy. I don't remember who else. And he had not publicly spoken about it yet. And in my letter, I said, there's a lot of propaganda about North Korea that's been going on for many years. And I read the news, and I don't read the mainstream media. I read as many facts as I can. During the Obama administration, so Kim Il-sung, his father died. He inherited rule of the country. He inherited all of its problems. And they're not a warlike nation. They're not at war with anyone. In fact, it's been an armistice for 50 years. And he made a statement to Obama when he came to power, saying that he wanted to make peace with the United States, and Barack Obama said no. Barack Obama turned him down, which is why there was no negotiation. Then it was dropped during the years that Obama was president. So I said, okay, Trump, I guess, was the nominee at the time. And I sent him a letter. I ended up sending more than one, but I also included a peace plan. And I'm going to explain to you what my peace plan is, because I've been reading about this. The North Koreans, specifically Kim Il-sung, or whatever his name is, I really don't remember. He wants to reunite North Korea and South Korea to form one country again. And that's all I know, because that's as far as I discovered. There is a group in South America that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they work on the project of reuniting the Koreas. And they broadcast radio and they do literature and all that sort of stuff. So they want peace with the North also. But we don't know what their terms are. I'm going to tell you how to reunite the North Koreans with the South Koreans and to solve the problem with nuclear weapons. I'm going to tell you how to do it. First of all, you have to know, what does it mean to unite two countries? Part of it is you have the government, the merging of the government, and then you've got business regulations, and then you've got the individual rights for people. So in terms of government, you have things like the Department of Education, Department of Health, intelligence agencies, the military, and the list goes on. And you rank them based on how important they are to national security. So the intelligence agencies and special forces and things like that are going to be the highest priority. And the lowest priority will be things like education, Department of Health, Department of Agriculture, etc. So you begin the process by merging all the agencies that are not a threat to national security. So, for example, they would merge the Department of Agriculture into one department. So both the North and the South would have one unified Department of Agriculture. Everything would have to be done by consensus. They're not going to be able to have one leader who leads both the North and the South. It will never work. They're going to have to rule by consensus, which means you appoint someone. Like the North would appoint someone and the South would appoint someone. They would do all the negotiating, and the North would approve it and the South would approve it, and then they would have consensus to whatever the regulations are, even if they don't abide by the same regulations. Like they could have one rule for the North, one rule for the South, etc. There's going to be an issue regarding to the history textbooks, because the North is going to want to tell one story and the South is going to want to tell a different story. My idea, anything that they disagree with, just don't put it in the textbooks, just leave it out. In terms of nuclear weapons, that would be the last thing that you would unify, because essentially, if the country is unified, the North and the South both have combined ownership of nuclear weapons. Now, obviously, you have two aspects: the rocket, they call it, what do they call it? The delivery method, the rocket, and then you have the nuclear bomb. the rockets are easy. The rocket program is going to be easier to unify because it's not a danger to national security to share that technology with the South Koreans. It's the nuclear weapons that is a threat to the national security of North Korea. They want to keep it a secret. However, if you unify the two countries and unify the governments and unify the economies, there's no incentive to use that weapon against the South because it's the same as using it against yourself. You don't go to war with a country that you have strong trade with. The U.S. will never go to war with Canada because we're trading partners, and if we did, it would just hurt us financially. So that's why you don't do that. So there's no incentive to use the weapon. They might even get rid of it. The reason why they had it was because of the fact that there's no peace with South Korea. I'm pretty sure that there are nuclear weapons in South Korea that are owned by the United States. So you've got an issue where now the South has nuclear weapons and the North has nuclear weapons, and you just deregulate it. You have them say, well, you can have the weapon, but you cannot have it assembled. It has to be all in different parts so that it at least takes an hour to assemble it. Or if they want to use it, they can't use it for first strike. They can only use it for defense. And you have to have 5 people have to make the decision to use it, and they have to have very specific rules, like they have to be actively at war. The entire nation has to be at the point of collapsing. You have to really, really define the words very specifically, because there's people who are going to say, if one South Korean crosses a border, we use the weapon. You don't want that type of policy. You have to be very, very specific. We have a lot of problems in the U.S. because people change the definition of a law so that they make it compatible with something today when in fact it's not a good idea. So the other thing you have the police and the intelligence agencies. The way I would do it is just merge everything at once. So you have 2 ways of doing it. One is to merge based on its impact on national security. The second way is just do everything at the same time and cross your fingers. If the intelligence agencies combine at the same time, and they're going to keep a few agents outside on their own, but just start working on it. They're all Korean. They're not going to go to war with each other. We all know they're not going to go to war with each other. They're just shouting rhetoric, just like what we have with the Republicans and Democrats. They're just shouting back and forth. So then you have an issue with the prison systems in the North. You just have a policy where, the South will go and they'll review the prison system, and the North will review the prison system in the South, and then you just have them create a new set of prison for the North, that the South will have to fund and pay for, and the North will have to agree to. You create new rules, and you're going to have political prisoners. They're going to have to deal with that issue. Kick them out of the country. If someone opposes the government, just kick them out of the country. Problem solved. Instead of putting them in a prison, kicking someone out of the country is way better than imprisoning someone. And then you've got the rights for the people, which means that they have passports. They can travel to the other country. They have the right to open a business in either country, to buy and sell property. And you just equalize all that. I'm sure that the North Koreans would agree to doing this, and I'm sure that, and we know that there's South Koreans that also agree to do this type of thing. But the problem is, it's not consistent. You'll have South Korean leaders that are hardliners, and they don't want to negotiate with the North, and they just say, no, you just got to get rid of your nukes, and unless you do that, we don't care. So there's a common economic development zone that the North and the South use. However, because the North has the cheap labor, they have control over the labor. So when they dispute, they just shut it down. So what happens is this joint economic zone, they open it and close it and open it and close it. You can read about it. And like I said, because it's the cheaper labor, the South benefits by unifying with the North because of the cheaper labor. It's good for business. And, East Germany and West Germany used to be separate for almost 100 years, and they reunified after the fall of the Soviet Union. Okay, so maybe more like 50 years. But it was good for Germany to reunify, and it's good for the Koreas to reunify. And I sent a letter to Trump after he became president and to a few different politicians, and I said, this is what you should do to solve this problem. But they don't really talk about it, so I'm going to assume that they either didn't read my letter or didn't care. I've sent him a bunch of letters. I've gotten like one response. I don't remember how many letters, maybe 5 or something like that. Not that many, but about different issues like this. I'm a big supporter of making peace with Iran and Libya and Korea and Cuba and Venezuela. I think it's the best strategy is to pursue peace. But what we're doing, people who don't like Korea in the United States, it's almost all propaganda that came from the American government because there hasn't been conflict. There's been so little conflict, it's been negligible. Every couple of years you hear a story where a North Korean soldier shot a gun at a South Korean soldier. They do it to try and get attention. When they want to negotiate something, they go and shoot their guns off at the border, or someone fired a rocket, or a boat went into the other to harass a fisherman. It doesn't happen that often. That's a sign that what we're hearing from our government is mostly negative propaganda. It's not supported by incidences of conflict between the U.S. and North Korea. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, please post below.